super crazy. So one of the first things that I did on this DIY, homemade, etc. journey, kind of getting back to my body's roots, is it started with skincare, but it didn't actually just start with skincare. It started with me thinking about probiotics. So my body reacts really well to probiotics. It probably had like microbiome deficiency or something. So I started, maybe the first time I ever thought about it was probably 2 years ago. Started thinking about like probiotics and gut health, etc. And then sometimes it fell to the wayside, and then I was preparing for our wedding 6 months ago. Well, we got married 6 months ago. I was preparing like a year ago, and I started thinking like really seriously about skincare, started getting facials, and my not something I can afford anymore, but for like wedding prep I was getting facials, and something that my facialist was talking about was maintaining the oils and the health of my skin, as opposed to constantly stripping at it and scraping at it, etc. So that kind of got me thinking, but I was like prepping for a wedding, so I didn't really care. I just wanted to have like nice looking skin, and I just wanted her to fix everything and make it better. So ramped up to the wedding, skin looked like fine, not that great. What can you do? And then after things started calming down again, I was thinking, well, you know, what is it that I want to do with my skin now? I can't afford to get facials all the time, unfortunately, even though they're lovely, and if you can afford them or do them yourself, I totally recommend it. So I can't afford that all the time, and I actually, we're on a tight budget now, and trying to pay off our beautiful wedding. So we're on a tight budget. Like, what can I do? Because I was using some pretty expensive skincare products from Sephora, because I got totally obsessed during wedding planning that I like needed all these beauty items. So that was fun, but like back to reality, how can I DIY or home make this process? So one of the things that I did was I cut out soaps, because I was thinking, I'm either not eating things that destroy my gut biome, or I'm eating things that help build up the probiotics in my body. So I was thinking, how can I do the same for my skin? So I started eliminating soap, like harsh soaps, from my skincare, and I instead swapped it for micellar water, which I just thought was super smart, because micellar water is super quick. You don't have to rinse it. It's pretty inexpensive. I was getting this like really lovely French brand on Amazon. It was not the cheapest thing in the world, but not super expensive. You can get it from L'Oreal for probably like $5 from the grocery store. So I was just using that and realizing that, like, lo and behold, my skin actually didn't need soap. It didn't need to be stripped all the time. Wake up, strip off the oils, get home from work, strip off the makeup, strip off the oils. If anything touches my skin, strip off everything really harshly. I was just so concerned that if I wasn't always getting out the dirt and getting out the oil and getting out the grime and like being harsh with my skin, that it would act up. So lo and behold, with just the micellar water, which is pretty gentle, even store-bought is pretty gentle, even with that, my skin really wasn't acting up, and actually it was getting better, and part of that was because I was like obsessing less over it, which is always good for me when I can just take a step back and not obsess over my skin. But that allowed me to step away from the mirror, step away from the process, because I just would come home, throw micellar water onto I was using like little cotton pads, or you could use washcloths, so throwing that on, wiping like as I'm walking around the house doing something else, and then boom, my makeup is gone and I don't have to think about it again. Would probably do it again before bed, and then when I woke up in the morning and I was realizing that process like removed me from like ruminations about my skin. So that made it better, and then also I think it just made it better because it wasn't so harsh. So then I'm trying to budget even further, so I'm thinking, well, is there a way to even just make my own micellar water? Micelles, I guess, are really like miniature cells of oil that are suspended in water, but I don't really know how they do that technically. But looking up micellar water DIY recipes, I ended up finding some that seemed to be made of ingredients that, one, I could make from home, two, would be pretty inexpensive, and three, my skin, already knew some of those ingredients that my skin really liked. So I know my skin really likes things that have any kind of like rose anything in it. And then my skin reacts really well to essential oils. So like lavender essential oil will calm it down. So I knew some of those things were already really good for me. So that's how I ended up trial and error concocting something that I call micellar water or cleansing toner. I don't know what the official term is, but the base of it just starts with a super simple rose water. And I bet some people, if you do want like super minimalist, some people could probably get away with just using rose water. I don't know, I've never tried it because I definitely feel like I need to like get makeup off, and I haven't broken the makeup habit yet. I don't know if I ever will. So I definitely need more ingredients. Some people might be able to get away with just this. So I just make a big batch every time. This is a 1 pound bag of rose petals that I got on Amazon. You could get them locally. If you do get them locally, like from a florist, make sure that they are organic and that they don't have been sprayed with chemicals, because you don't want to be putting those chemicals on your skin. So this is like, they smell lovely, they look really pretty. Here's a little pretty one. So I actually love making this. It's really fun. I just get a pot, I pour a couple handfuls, full handfuls into the pot, I simmer it. Usually takes like 15 minutes. I simmer and stir a little bit until the petals lose their color, and then I find a mason jar or whatever I have lying around, I use like a sieve and like get out the rose petals. I just throw them away. Somebody very crafty could probably make something with them. I throw away the rose petals, and this is the water that's left over. I refrigerate it and use it for about 3 weeks. The rest of the process is really simple. It's literally just adding a few ingredients. So this is like a lame little leftover coconut oil jar that I have, and I'm actually out, so I'm gonna make some now. So really making it is super simple. I'm pouring maybe a cup of rose water into here, and then this is what I have found works best with my skin. For every cup of rose water, I use about 4 droppers full of rose hip oil. My skin like eats this up. It also helps like take off makeup and oil. I don't know how many that is, maybe 3, maybe 4. So this is nice. It has a nice color, has like a plain but like pleasant scent, almost like olive oil, but I really like it. Plus the bottle's pretty. I get everything on Amazon. That's for Amazon. And then I do the same with argan oil. So this concoction is what works best for my skin. I'm sure other people could have different things. I the first time used almond oil, but that actually made me break out. So you can look up oils on the what's comedogenic. So both of these, rosehip oil and argan oil, I think are level 0. I think almond oil is maybe a 4. So you can find out what works best for you. Some people hate the smell of argan oil. I had to get used to it. It's a little bit like, if you're thinking of it negatively, it's a little bit like baby diapers. And if you're thinking of it with a positive sense, it's a little bit like olive juice. I've gotten used to it, and now I kind of actually enjoy it because I know I'm like, my skin will be clean. So I use about 4 droppers of this. And then my skin loves lavender, and my nose loves it too, my brain. So do like 4, 5, 6 drops. It doesn't really matter. If you have really sensitive skin, obviously be careful with the essential oils because they might make you break out, or they might feel harsh on your skin. And then this one is cedar oil. So I do about the same, 4, 5, or 6 drops. So this is cedar wood oil. I love the scent. And this is also really good for skin. It's really good for my skin. You can kind of craft away and see what works. So I keep this in the fridge, so every morning or every evening I will shake it. Pretty simple. And then washcloth, clearly already been used for this, and I just dump some on, and this is what I would use to just wipe my skin. You do have to be careful though, because this, as you can tell, it stains. If you bought store-bought rose water, it is usually clear, so you wouldn't have to worry about that, but just beware. But yeah, that's the process. Enjoy!